Hello? YouTube Central, how are you doing? What? You're not happy with me? My views are crap. I don't get many likes. And I don't have enough subscribers. You're going to cancel me? How dare you? Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button before YouTube actually do cancel me. And please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Thursday's edition of the DC Multiverse Daily. On today's show, we ask, why did allegedly Geoff Johns cross the line while running the DCEU? We'll also talk about this rumour of possibly Wonder Woman 1984 being delayed to November or December, which would mean June would be delayed till next year. We just saw a fabulous trailer for June, right? Dennis's trailer is amazing. So that will be a tragedy for everyone looking forward to June as well. And then finally we ask, would a Smallville straight-to-streaming movie work? We will talk about that. We will tackle that near the end of the show. So let's talk about Geoff Johns. So what drove Geoff Johns to do what he did, to act the way he did? We've already heard, people say, oh, he's no friend of mine. We've heard people say some interesting things about him. He's not a very popular man with the fans, right? So let's look at why he did this. Now, I've tried to explain this to you people before, that Zack Snyder and Geoff Johns see DC Comics characters in two different ways. So when Zack adapts a comic book character, let's just talk about DC, because that's what he's done. He's done Watchmen, he's done Superman, he's done Batman, and he's done Justice League. The Justice League portion we haven't seen. So Zack Snyder isn't a one-trick pony. It's not that he can't do anything else but stylized movies. But he likes doing stylized movies. He likes the lighting, and the color palettes to be a certain way. He loves his slow motion. He loves jogging the camera up and down, which was really a groundbreaking event over on the 24 TV show, one of my favorite TV shows starring Kiefer Sutherland of all time, right? So he likes that kind of style. And he likes putting fictional characters in the real world. Now, to me personally, that's perfectly fine. Now, in terms of Geoff Johns, Geoff Johns worked his way up. He was a runner for Dick Donner when he was making Superman the movie, Lethal Weapon, things like that. I don't know when they first met, but that's how he came to be. And then he got into DC Comics. I don't know if he was involved originally with Marvel. He started at the very bottom and worked his way up. So Geoff Johns isn't someone with a silver spoon shoved up his backside or mouth. He really earned what he's got today. But we want to know why. Why has he allegedly acted in such an immoral and underhanded way? Well, because Geoff Johns, like Zack Snyder, these two men are extremely passionate about these characters. So although Zack Snyder didn't seem to act in an underhanded way, he certainly knew what to do when he was ousted from the company, and he knew how to get his position back, and that was via us. What he did was a very, very clever tactic, and it worked, and ultimately he wasn't hurting anyone by doing that. And the only person who was actually hurt was Zack at the time. Instead of laying on the floor, and there was loads of reasons why Zack could have felt sorry for himself. He'd lost his daughter to suicide, very tragic. He was driven out of his dream gig, which is making these DC characters and bringing them into the real world and, making them into live action characters, which he'd already done twice with MOS and BVS. But so he garnered himself, he come up, gathered people like Fiona, and it was a very effective tactic. And ultimately, his tactic won. Now, why did Geoff... Listen, if you look at Geoff Johns and what he did and how he acted, it's a bit like us on Twitter. Sometimes we go at people when they have an opposing opinion. Now, normally we're very, very logical, nice people in the outside world, but something happens to us when we're on social media. we become creatures, and we become a bit darker, and we lose our compassion and our humanity when we're online. We just see red. How many times did we see the SJW saying that the Joker was a dangerous movie, making excuses for male incels? How did we react to that? Because we're males and we saw it, and we were going after other human beings who were probably perfectly good people, but obviously talking a lot of crap. So very difficult. You see red, and it's easier online because you're behind a keyboard, you're on your phone, you're on your tablet, right? And you're just typing away, and you don't see the consequence of being so rabid and toxic. But there are consequences to the people you're doing it to, and ultimately to your own soul. So this is what happened to Geoff Johns. He's so passionate about the purity of these characters, especially Superman. He was really triggered how Nolan and Goya and Snyder tackled Superman. He really hated the fact that Superman killed Zod, especially the way that he did by breaking his neck. This was really offensive to Geoff. So already the demons were there. The demons were coming out. You've got to understand where these people are not just machines. Geoff Johns isn't just an exec who doesn't care about DC. He loves DC and these characters. And in his mind, they should be kept pure. If you look at his Smallville movie event, Absolute Justice, this is typical of Geoff's mentality, where what he does, he re-examines Clark's no-kill policy, Superman's no-kill policy. So the Legion of Superheroes arrive from the future, and Clark's friend Chloe is taken over by Brainiac. And as far as the Legion are concerned, Clark's got to kill Chloe. Clark says, no, I am not killing my friend. I will not kill anyone. There's always another way. There's always a better way. And he teaches the Legion of Superheroes not to kill. So when they go back to the future, they promise that will be one of their number one rules, no killing. So he saves his best friend Chloe via showing us why it's so important that Superman doesn't kill. And that is Geoff's mentality. So he was already triggered to what they did. Now, somehow, and I did a video about this, Nolan and Goya were certainly ousted from the DCEU. And don't give me, they're still producers and execs. So is Zack on the Flashpoint movie, on Wonder Woman 84. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's because they were involved from the beginning and you can't totally oust them, right? And so that's why they were producers. Nolan did. Someone was saying in the comments to that video yesterday, oh, they just left. Yeah, like Zack just left. It's funny when you people say, well, Zack didn't just leave, and you fought for that, and I agree with you fighting for that, because I fought for that too. But when it comes to Christopher Nolan and David Goyer, oh, who cares? They just left. No, they had a great idea for Man of Steel, and they were going to come back for a sequel, and they were ousted because of the box office. And Zack took a bigger role in the DCEU, right? Once Nolan and Goyer left. So basically, Zack had an advantage from them leaving. So everyone always gets an advantage from somebody else's downfall, especially in Hollywood. So no one's made of puppy dogs and snowflakes and rainbows. We should always remember that. Someone always, takes advantage of somebody else's misfortune. That doesn't mean Zack's a bad person. I would have done the same thing. Anyone would, right? It's his dream project. So you have these two men with two different ideas, and Geoff was just constantly seeing red. For example, Nolan wouldn't allow Johns or anyone to interfere with Zack's vision or his and David Goyer's vision for Man of Steel, for Superman. So Nolan was there to protect that. But once you oust Nolan, all the animals have taken over the zoo. There's no one there with a great intellect to say, hang on, let's calm down. Maybe we can not do that and do this. But there was no one there to do that. So as much as I love Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, it kind of was a film that did anything it wanted, basically. And as much as I like that, I think there's certain things where maybe Chris would have said, yeah, you can do that, but maybe if we do it that way. It's all about giving the director the freedom, but sometimes someone like Christopher Nolan knows another way of doing it, which will still please everyone. Do you understand? This is the difference. This is the difference by having someone. This is what WB and Sujihara wanted originally. Nolan was supposed to be the godfather of the DCEU. Someone, a head teacher, a parent, someone to keep the zoo calm. But once Christopher Nolan leaves, this is when the problem really begins, because there's no one to control. There's no one to protect Zack from Geoff Johns or Sujihara or whoever else, right? And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. And all of a sudden, Geoff Johns is untamed and he's very angry because things are being done to these characters that he loves, that he doesn't agree with. To him, it's sacrilege, right? It's sacrilege what Snyder did in 2 movies, right? And Nolan and Goyer. I'm not agreeing with Geoff. I understand Geoff's point of view. And this is a lot of DC. A lot of DC fans agree. A lot of DC purists agree with Geoff. And here's the thing. And the problem with Geoff is like all those DC fans that hate Snyder who go onto Twitter being so toxic against Zack. But that's what happened with Geoff Johns. He became untamed. He couldn't control himself ever longer. So his mission in life was to clean up the DCEU from Zack Snyder, rightly or wrongly. I'm not saying that's right, by the way. But this was logically, this is where he was coming from. And clearly he went too far. But that's why he did what he did. This is why Geoff Johns crossed the line. Because he absolutely believes in the purity of the DC characters. And the great thing is, I can give you a white tissue and you could say, I don't like white tissues because all the dirt, right, is going to show up. Can I have a darker tissue? And I'm going to say, well, no, what difference does it make if it's darker or lighter? Do you know what I mean? And this is what happened with the mentality between Zack Snyder and Geoff Johns. So I'm not saying what Geoff did was right, but I don't think he was working with all his full deck. He was just angry and triggered and trying to clean up the DCEU. And in the end, he went too far. And he's already admitted, as I've said a billion times before, that being a leader wasn't for him. He knows he acted improperly. He lost his position, right? He's got his own production company. He's working with Patty Jenkins. I would like to leave it at that. But I know that you guys and Ray Fisher don't want to leave it at that. And that's your opinion. But it absolutely is my opinion that this should be drawn a line under for one reason and many reasons. Zack's back. We're getting the Snyder Cut. Everything we ever wanted is happening. And all those DC purists, the multiverse strategy will give you what you want as well. Everyone is going to be serviced here. And that's why we need to draw a line under this situation. We want you to see Wonder Woman 84 on the biggest screen possible. I've got a 50-inch screen, Patty. I'll be just fine. Yes, the rumour is there again that Wonder Woman 84 could be freaking well, I'm going to say fucking well delayed till November, December. I am so frustrated. It was delayed from last year. It was delayed from earlier this year. Then it was delayed again. And then they took it to October. But there's a problem, and this is why this rumour is here, and I don't know if it's true or not, but Tenet is just about going to break even. It'll be lucky to make $500 million globally. Now, I'm impressed with the amount of money it's made, but it's not enough for a big profit. Let's be honest, if there was no pandemic, no virus, this film would have made well over $1 billion. It hit the spot, amazing film, makes you ask questions, and actually the rewatchability of it is smart. It's a bit like Joker, where you have to go back to try and figure some things out. So I like that. So that's why it would have crossed over $1 billion. It's not going to get anywhere near $1 billion globally. So they're not going to make a profit. They're just about going to break even, right? So basically, it's no good. You know, it's no good. Yeah, now, normally I would say 500, 600 million, good solid profit. But they know they could have made more. So I feel this is why all studios, not just Warner Brothers Pictures, Warner Media and AT&T, I think they all need to start looking at this, because I think that Disney Plus made absolutely the right decision with Mulan. Now, they've released it in some territories in cinemas, and they have this premium part of Disney Plus where you could pay $29.99. You own the film as long as you pay your subscription to Disney Plus. It's a great move, and in all intents and purposes, it's worked out. And I think this is the future for movies, certainly during this pandemic as we go on and on. But I think this is the future, where you've got to allow people to rent the movie via Prime Video, via HBO Max or Disney Plus, all at the same time, while you do release in cinemas in other territories. So let's just say Christopher Nolan's already nearly made 200 million from Tenet, right? Imagine if you add that to, video on demand money as well. That's going to be massive. And this is what Wonder Woman 84 should do in October. But they won't. They're stubborn. We want you to see it on the biggest screen possible. Stop it. You're not going to make the money. And things are not going to get better anytime soon. We could be talking about 2 years here. Who knows? Are you going to really make me wait 2 fucking years to see Wonder Woman 84? No, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. Release it where you can in cinemas and release it on VOD so I can rent it on Prime Video. Please let me see this film. Stop delaying movies. You've got to make the right call here, AT&T, Warner Media and Warner Brothers Pictures. It has to end. Because if you are going to delay June and then push Wonder Woman 84 back to November, December, it's simply not fair for anyone. You're not helping us. You're not doing us a favour, and you're not helping your bottom line. What you are doing with this stubbornness of trying to preserve the cinema experience exclusively is no good. It's not going to work. You know it, and I know it. It's time to start releasing movies in theatres around the world where you can and on VOD. And that's my opinion. A Smallville movie has been touted for many, many years. Not by the people who made it or Warner Brothers or anyone like that, but by the fans. Even when we were watching the show and the show was active on the WB first, then the CW, we were all saying, oh man, either a Metropolis spin-off or a movie would be amazing. And I think when you look at Smallville is perfect to integrate into, Walter Hamada's and Jim Lee's multiverse strategy. So everything's real now. Everything's active. Every universe they've ever done is there as part of the multiverse strategy. So there's no reason now why Tom Welling can't suit up and finally Michael Rosenbaum can shave off his bonds. I want to see an expensive, straight-to-streaming movie or limited series of Clark Kent and Lex Luthor and Lois Lane in Metropolis doing their things. It would be amazing. You could actually adapt the Smallville Season 11 comic book, the graphic novel, or you could do something totally new. It would be amazing. Imagine all the villains Smallville set up in the show for 10 years. You could definitely use Brainiac. We already have a Brainiac, a very different Brainiac, but he could still do something so epic that affects the whole of Metropolis and the whole of that universe, by the way. I think it's time. But the question has always been, does Tom Welling want to put on the suit? I mean, this is the question, and he never has before. He didn't put on the costume again on Crisis on Infinite Earths. He's simply not willing to wear the costume. Now, he really must think that costume is beneath him. But Tom, you're not getting any younger, mate. This could be something that you repay the fans with. It's time. Tom, I love you. You did a great job playing Clark. No one could have done a better job. You were amazing. The whole cast and crew and Al and Miles and Kelly and Brian all were fabulous for a decade. And I think with this multiverse strategy, Smallville has set up so much in its decade run. You could cherry pick anything you wanted, and I absolutely would love to see a Smallville movie. Tom Welling as Superman, Michael Rosenbaum as Lex, Erica Durant as Lois Lane. These people would absolutely kill it. And I just hope one day we can get this over on HBO Max or in theatres or whatever. I think there's an audience still for Smallville. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about a Smallville reboot because that's something else. I mean, I have an idea for that. And I've spoken to you guys about that umpteen times. But I think this is a thing where we could get a Smallville movie, a new Superman adventure in this Smallville universe. I think that will be a beautiful thing. But I want to know what you think. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Multiverse Daily. See you again soon.